Great work, Fiorella.
Thank you.
So you've made it real already.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive, I have
Yeah.
to say. I have a few questions for you, obviously. Um, I know that you've done the prototyping. We've seen it right there. Can you tell me what you've learned from your prototyping in terms of the viability and the feedback you've gotten?
So I actually done 2 prototypes. And the thing that let me, sorry, this prototypes actually led me to this solution to the product, because the first one I did, we met in a restaurant and we basically just talked about, we went in a Venezuelan restaurant and we talked about Latin American culture. And it wasn't as successful as the one where we learned how to make crepes from a native speaker. So that made me believe that people are really interested in using their languages in a way that it's more hands-on and active, rather than just sitting down and talking because you have to practice, so then you have to talk, and it's kind of boring. So it led me to believe that this approach with the activities and the experiences, that it's just a way to do fun stuff and learn fun stuff, and then sneakily you're actually also practicing your languages. This was my biggest finding. Other findings were that I was at the beginning gonna divide our experiences into different levels depending on the fluency of the people. And I actually found in this prototype, the French crib one, that having all the levels together is actually pretty great, because the people who are really fluent love helping the ones that are not so fluent. They feel like good. It's like I know that one,
great.
you know. So it was a really nice finding.
So that's interesting. So that I found that fascinating because you know when we were first talking about it, you were talking about clubs, but they're really more like classes where you're talking or speaking in another language, and I guess that talks to the evolution of what you found from that first meeting with people. In terms of the hosts and the spaces and the cost, are the hosts bringing people into their homes? How does that work? And what is the balance of the cost there in terms of what you give the host and what you have to pay for space or their space?
We will start our first phases with having our physical space. We'll be renting out with Peer Space, which is you rent it by the hour. And it's specifically made for events, for renting spaces for events by the hour. So we don't have to be sending people to other people's houses. The one I made was at my house, and I would do it with Airbnb because I know there's like a huge platform behind it that it's gonna make me feel secure about it. But since I didn't have anything, I felt a little bit unsafe at this point. That's why we want to start having a Wordly space that people can go to. And then when we roll out the host program, we will be able to give them like some security and stability, and it could be more mobile in that sense that people could go to others' houses.
Yeah, because that leads me to my next question was in terms of insurance and liability and that kind of stuff. So if you're renting a space, that's built into the overhead of that space.
Yes.
That's great. In terms of expanding the service, I know you spoke about the digital aspect and the conversations online. For people who couldn't actually go to the classes or events, would you consider letting them to join in online just with the writing part and the communicating conversations through texting or Skype?
With the conversation clubs? Yes, I've thought about this a lot. If we have it open to the public, we will actually be able to have more people coming to us. But a lot of language apps are having the problem of having trolls and having people come in, and it starts feeling like a dating app, and it's not really appropriate. It gets a little bit out of hand at this point. So if we start by having people paying for these experiences and go for the experiences, it's like a self-filtering situation where they're paying for it, therefore you have access to it. That's why we build it that you first have to be able to use the conversation clubs, you need to be part of the Wordly community, and that starts with the experiences first.
That's very well thought out.
Yeah.
in terms of raising money or making more money so that you can expand, have you ever considered bringing in sponsors that might want to sponsor your events, like other, like, you know, like Babbel or
Yes.
Rosetta's
Yeah.
Stone or something like that? And that could also help you expand your base of people.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I've thought about that, and it's actually pretty great because they're considered competitors, but not really because they're focused on helping people learn a language, and we're like the next step in the language ecosystem. So I think it could work really nicely for both sides of it. Yeah.
In terms of viability and marketing, how are you going to market this? Is it just word of mouth, or do you have other marketing plans?
We're starting with word of mouth with the people who have a meetup because we have 800. So we can only handle so much in this first stage, you know, with 3 hosts, 20 people per course. Like, we need to start slow to be able to ensure the quality of this experiences. And then from there, we can grow with word of mouth or going to the language schools and posting there, or honing on leveraging Babbel, Duolingo, and things like that. Yes.
So in terms of scaling, it sounds like finding people who want to go to these things will not be difficult. It's more getting the correct hosts.
Yes, I believe it's not going to be hard at all. I mean, I posted 2.5 people from Colombia texting, writing in the meetup, like, okay, I'm here. Do you have something here? You know, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of people.
Sounds great. In terms of the biggest risks that you've thought about or see coming down the pike, what would those be, and how would you deal with them?
One would be that some other big language company decides to start doing these types of activities, but I do think they have a lot on their plate at this point. So I don't think they're gonna be focusing on experiences because it takes like a lot of effort and a lot of time to develop the program, etc. Another one would be testing the assumption of our prices with the users, that we will be able to test that once we start actually charging for the experiences.
Right. In terms of competition, possible competition in the future, is there a way that you can copyright or protect your idea? Have you talked to anyone about that? Or
I haven't. I could with Frank, but I know it could be possible since the Zumba model has been so successful. I think we can like leverage that and work from there.
Well, congratulations, and you're prepared, and I imagine you're going to grow really fast. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.